Hey everybody, this is Jake and Jordan with the Blue and Gold Report this week. I'm out of Muncie, Indiana, and we got Jordan out of Minnesota. Okay, Jordan, I know you watched that game this weekend. What did you pick up from this Notre Dame Virginia game?
First, I want to clarify I am in St. Paul, Minnesota, for those who want to write fan mail.
Who cares?
And more importantly, this game was definitely a wake-up call from a week ago. I don't have a lot of words to say, honestly, still, and it's been a few days. I guess, to start, we did win. We did win. We got the win. That was a game I've seen in the last 5-10 years, 90% of the time we lose. Those games that were just not... there's just something off from the beginning. You never feel quite right about it. Usually in the past we have lost those games, and even despite losing our quarterback, our starting tight end, we found a way to win, and that's what matters. So we did win, and we take a 2-0 team back home to face Georgia Tech.
Yes, and you talk about winning at toward the end. It was in the opening of the fourth quarter. It was 26-21. We were up, and then they scored and brought it to 27. They scored 2 field goals, they scored a touchdown and then another touchdown with a 2-point conversion fail. so then they were up 27-26 with 1:54 on the clock. I was sitting there and I was watching this game and I was like, just like you said, past 5-10 years, there's no way that we win this, especially with our starting quarterback, like you said. And then you had Deshaun Keyser. Had you ever heard of Deshaun Keyser?
I'm not quite sure I spelled his name right in my notes. I was going to ask you about that. So, no, I have not heard about this guy.
Well, I have, as you know, because I do my research every year. And he is he's a sophomore, redshirt sophomore, so academic sophomore, but freshman eligibility. So it's kind of his first year of playing on the team. But he's very impressive. I was very impressed, especially with that last minute drive of about a little less than 2 minutes. Like I said, about 1 minute 50 seconds.
I was pretty impressed too. Obviously for him to step in and go right away. And maybe we'll talk a little more about that in our keys for the upcoming week. But my question to you is, was this DeShone Kizer, or was this Will Fuller's coming out moment when we realize how great a talent he truly is?
Okay, so when you ask that question, you're talking about that pass with 12 seconds to go in the game?
I'm talking about the 60-yard bombs I airdropped to him, I believe in the second quarter, and then with 12 seconds left to go.
Okay, I gotcha. I really don't know, because I feel like we always knew. Okay, see, because there's a difference. We always knew that Will Fuller, was a standout talent. We always knew he was going to be able to perform. But what I take away from this game is Deshaun Keyser. I took away Will Fuller from the Texas game. I took him away from the spring camp game, right? Like he's a great athlete. What I take away from this game is Deshaun Keyser and his ability. Not only was he physically able to do it, as far as his agility and pocket presence and all that type of stuff, but he was prepared. He was ready to go. And now he's gonna have to be, because now he's the number 1 guy after Zaire was injured. In the third quarter, or the beginning of the fourth quarter, I don't remember.
I think the end of the second quarter. I think he was out.
Was it the end of the second?
Tomatoes, but I believe he was.
Yeah, either way. No, because he has a touchdown here in the third quarter.
Wow.
So, either way, yeah. So what I pull from this is that Deshaun Keyser was able to lead this team on a 85-yard 2-minute drill, basically, is what it was.
Picking up the only
and he was able
first down conversion we had on third or fourth down the entire game. That's both a little sad and impressive on his part.
Exactly, that's why I pull Deshaun Keyser from this game and not Will Fuller. But you talk about first downs. It's interesting that they had more first. University of Virginia had more first downs than us, and we only had a little, 30 more yards than them. I mean, it was a very close game. Very close.
Is Texas just really that bad? Or are we? What was Saturday? What was Saturday for
Saturday?
us?
Saturday was realizing that we lost our starting quarterback and our starting running back 2 weeks in a row.
But Zaire, he didn't have a very good game when he was in. I mean, Deshaun didn't, like you said, you are right. Deshaun didn't come in till late third quarter, early fourth quarter. There was a lot of game where Zaire just wasn't on the ball.
Zaire was, here's his completions versus attempts. He was 7 of 18 for 115 yards and 1 touchdown. So that makes his QBR rating of 56.9, which, like you said, isn't very good. Deshaun Keyser came in. I did find it up here with my tech analyst here, and he came in the end of the third quarter is when Malik got hurt. Deshaun Keyser was 8 for 12 for 2 touchdowns, 92 yards. So, and his rating, of course, was higher at 75.2.
Well, and I think, I think we are always quick to jump to the 2012 team. We always want to compare ourselves to that. But here's something I think, and maybe this is jumping ahead, but going to Saturday and the rest of the season, what was impressive, even when Zaire was in, like you just said, those stats, if we were depending on him, we would not have won that game. We would not have been remotely close.
Agreed.
But it's something that and our defense didn't play, our secondary was awful. We gave up 270-some yards to their quarterback, I think. No interceptions, a couple touchdowns.
Yeah. 289 yards in the air
to Virginia.
For the Cavaliers,
I mean, they're not bad. Clearly, they show they're not a bad team. But they're not a playoff contending team. They're probably not a top 25 team. So I think what I gained, like you said, if you gained Keyser, I'll give you him and I'll take the rest of the team. I gained that we had bad secondary play. Our offense couldn't make third downs. We were, like you said, we barely outgained them yards. We didn't get third downs. And yet we were still winning that whole game up until the very end and still managed to pull it out. I would like to not see games get this close the rest of the season. But my point is, what a miracle it is when you don't turn the ball over. I mean, we were in that game. We never should have won that game. We shouldn't be, but when you're smart, when you're not relying too much, what these injuries I think are doing, we're not relying too much on any one player. Maybe Will Fuller, we'll see a little more, but he deserves it. We're not going out there dependent on any one person, and on offense, that seems to be working for us. So.
Yeah, when you talk about depending on one player, the first thing that comes to mind is how in the past 5-10 years we've had the quarterback or the wide receiver or maybe two or the running back where that was it. Like when Michael Floyd and Golden Tate played together and then Brady Quinn was there for they were it. It was those three. Now they never got injured. I don't know why, but or if they did, it wasn't kind of repeatedly. But yeah, so it's I was just when you said Will Fuller, I started thinking, well, we got other wide receivers. I mean, we got Chris Brown, sophomore wide receiver. He's great.
You got Corey Robinson. You got Torrey Hunter.
Corey Robinson. Yep. We got so many other guys that can just kind of spread the ball around. You were talking about turnovers. UVA turned it over once. We didn't turn it over at all. And then you talked about the third down efficiency. We were 0 for 10 on third down. So we didn't get a first down on third down the whole game.
Wow.
It's terrible. Fourth down, we were 2 for 3. So we went 3 times and got it twice, which is interesting. But, take that for what it's worth, I guess.
Wow. I know.
It's fantastic. I like that defense, though. That defense was flying all over the place.
Oh,
if
ours?
we can, ours. Well, theirs was okay too, but if we can keep our defense healthy, I like the team.
We have a lot of athleticism, but tell me what you think about this. But our secondary, it was awful. I mean, he was carving it up. And my question is, we're already in a 4-3, so we're already putting one extra guy in the box from previous years when we were in a 3-4. But from me watching that, especially, I mean, Georgia Tech, triple option's a little different, but for the rest of the year, against some of these teams that are going to carve us up on offense, either blitz more, put more guys in the box, and get their timing off, put some pressure on them, get some sacks, get some turnovers. If you get beat once or twice, big deal, that happens. Or drop more people back. I mean, we seem to be playing this very weird in between, and our defensive line just wasn't putting pressure on him. So.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of our defensive coordinator, Van Gorder. That's kind of his thing. Is he likes to turn up the heat, and he likes to blitz a lot, but he doesn't do it often, like you said. He's kind of in between. Like I would agree. Like I either want to blitz, and put the pressure on the whole game, or I just want to drop back and play conservative. But he likes to kind of mix it up, which makes it anxious for those of us that are watching it, and trying to figure out what's going on. But then we see on third down when Van Gorder turns up the heat, and he'll bring a safety off the back and drop a defensive end. Like, you don't see that happening often, but then when he does, it works. So that makes me think maybe it wouldn't work if he did it all the time.
Very true.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, there's a fine line. I don't know. But it does work when he wants to do it. He just doesn't want to do it a lot.
Well, we'll see what he does more,
I guess,
in the future. All right, so you've got some stuff for us about the Irish and the NFL this week before we go to Georgia Tech?
Okay. So the NFL, the National Football League, started this week. Started last Thursday and then started on Sunday. But we have a couple standout Notre Dame players. We have actually roughly 25, maybe 30 NFL players that went to Notre Dame, something like that. We're actually second in providing NFL players. We're the second highest number of NFL players in the NFL ever.
Wow.
Like not like currently, but like forever. And guess who number one is? Like, guess who's beat us out? Guess who has had more NFL players than us?
Of course.
Yes, of course. And then Michigan's number 3, so it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to highlight 2 NFL players here that were from Notre Dame. And for those of you listening, these names should sound very familiar. If they don't, put it in the Google search real quick. Find out some stuff. Tyler Eifert, tight end for Cincinnati Bengals. He had, he's actually on my fantasy team, and I didn't play him because I'm stupid. But he had 2 touchdowns, 104 yards, 9 receptions. It's pretty fantastic. He's been off and on injured recently, so that was pretty great for him. And then my other guy that I have here is Harrison Smith. He's a free safety on defense for the Minnesota Vikings. Unfortunately, they lost to the San Francisco 49ers last night, but he recorded 9 tackles on that game, which is highest of the night for either team. So that was pretty good. So those are my 2 kind of Irish in the NFL for the week, and every week I'll have another 2 guys to highlight.
That's awesome.
Talk about those. Feel free to email us or comment down below if you have anybody you want to target.
That's good.
Okay, Jordan, let's kind of look forward to next week.
All right.
to Notre Dame
So
next
I'm going
week.
to roll
What do we
off a
got?
couple numbers for you, and then I want to hear what you have to say, Jake. So here's Georgia
Okay,
Tech
I'm ready.
coming in. They've won 8 out of their last 9 games, and the only loss was a 2-point loss to Florida State in the ACC championship game last year. They've put up 60 points in each of their first 2 games this year. Yeah, it was Alcorn State and Tulane, but still, 60 points. They're 2 or 2.5, depending on who you ask, point favorites to win this game. They're plus 14 in turnover ratio since the start of last season. They're plus 3 already this year in 2 games.
Jeez.
And the final number I want to give you is 5. And in a rushing triple option offense, 5 out of 5 is the number of starting linemen returning from last year.
Oh no.
Nope.
Are you kidding me?
Senior,
That's
junior,
terrible.
sophomore, senior. So, I'll give you all that.
So, oh my gosh.
What do you think?
Okay, my first question is, what do you know what position that the
Right
sophomore is on
guard.
the offensive line? Okay, because that's the guy that we got to go after. Because they're not gonna, I don't know, because they're not gonna run behind him. But all of them are. That is terrible. Okay, I didn't realize they were so good. My number one concern in this game is their run game. Like you said, they run the triple option, which for those of you that are listening that might not know what that is, that means the quarterback can, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, I might be wrong. The quarterback can run the ball, he can pitch the ball, or he can throw it. Is that right?
the triple
Yeah.
a triple
He can throw it over the
triple
top.
option will be quarterback hikes the ball. Option 1, you can hand it off to a running back who is running inside the tackles. Option 2 is the quarterback can not hand it off and start running. If he starts running, option 3 is to pitch the ball to another running back that's trailing him.
Oh, it's the trailing. That's the
Um,
one. Okay. I thought that was.
You
okay.
will all recognize it if you've watched us play Navy or Air Force or Army.
Yes. And the reason why those teams do it is because they're all small. They're undersized in general, because the military has a much stricter kind of physical thing. They're still very strong and very good, but they're always small, so that's why they like to do it. Georgia Tech just does it very, very well. If you paid attention to college or the NFL, you'll know there are several NFL players who became infamous from the option and the triple option, one of which is the Redskins quarterback, Robert Griffin III, became very popular and successful, I guess, running that. My biggest thing on that, the reason why I'm not I can't say I'm not concerned because I'm very concerned, but the reason why I feel confident is because I know we got a lot of smart guys on our offensive line, our defensive line, and our linebackers. What I think we'll see a lot of when we watch this game is we'll see a lot of the linebackers, Niles Morgan, Jalen Smith, a lot maybe, running a spy, where they just kind of hang out in the box, just to see what's going to happen. To kind of spying on the quarterback. They're just keeping their eyes on the ball. So instead of, being like attached to the running back so that they follow him wherever he goes, they're just watching for where the ball goes. If we can do that, and Van Gorder can communicate, communicate to everybody else what the offense or what the defense needs to do, and if we can keep that spy in place, I think we'll be successful. What about the defense? How does their defense look? Georgia Tech.
That's a little bit. The thing is, when their offense is scoring so much and moving so fast and going through the motion so fast, our offense will be on the field a lot. They will get a lot of chances because Georgia Tech scores a lot. Last year they averaged 38 points a game. 11th in the country. So it's kind of like when you watch Oregon. It doesn't matter how good their defense is, the other offense is going to get enough chances that the defense is going to get worn out, and they're not going to have time to rest. So I will say that, and then I will point you to some of the scores they gave up last year. They gave up 48 to North Carolina, 37 to Florida State, 34 to Mississippi State. So they're good, certainly, but they're not great.
Okay. But they're okay. So, see, and that's the other thing is I feel between our even though he's a sophomore quarterback in Keiser, I feel very confident in our offense, even though we're coming off of losing two of our starters actually 3 of our starters in the past 3 weeks. I feel very confident. So I think if we can still run the ball with the now starting running back Procise, and if we'll be able to do that successfully, we can sort of like you said, wear down their defensive line.
Yep,
so.
I think that's a good call. I think for me, I don't know how I could be confident in our offense yet until I see what Keiser can do. But like you were just talking about our defense, the big difference, you touched on it, of doing spies and that kind of stuff. Certainly we're going to do that. The thing is, though, this is not a scrambling quarterback where we have to worry about them passing. They only threw 134 yards a game last year, which ranked 121st out of, I think, 126 teams in the country. So this is not what are they going to do this play? And even after it's snapped, is it going to be a run? Is it going to be a pass? This is just like playing Navy, where 90% of their plays are runs. So, yes, you don't sell out all the way on blitzes, going back to what we talked about earlier, but there's not that worry of we need to cover both. So, our linebackers are arguably the best linebacking core in the country. And provided they don't get hurt this game, knock on some wood, this is their game to key in. And every play, they know their whole job is to just go hit someone and hit them hard. So I'm very confident in our defense. Yep. And as we learned last week, if our offense can do enough and not think they need to win and turn over the ball by trying to, I think we'll be okay. This Georgia Tech team lines up very well against our strengths. I'm very worried about USC later. I'm pretty worried about Clemson.
Well, I was like, Clemson comes before USC.
Right.
And we got Stanford at the end of the season.
I'm a little more worried about Stanford and USC against their pro sets, because they're going to line up and throw the ball 30 times in a game, and that's when we're going to have some trouble. But against a team like Georgia Tech, I think this is the perfect team for us to be playing this week. We're going to really find out where we are without having all our weaknesses exposed.
I agree. I want to say one more thing about that I saw in an interview with Brian Kelly about Deshaun Keiser. We know that the offense that Kelly wanted to run and that they were running successfully with Malik Zaire was having Zaire run the ball anywhere from 9 to 15 times a game. That was what they were kind of shooting for. So one of the reporters asked Kelly, are you going to continue that, knowing that if Keiser gets injured, knowing number one that Keiser isn't as agile, he's as quick and as fast, but he's not quite as agile as Zaire is, because he's kind of longer and taller. But also knowing that if Keiser gets injured for a significant amount of time, the next quarterback up is Brandon Wimbush, who's a true freshman. So, and Kelly said that they fully expect to continue the same, to not take away any carries, to continue to use him in the run game, so that defenses need to kind of account for him, which I found that very interesting. One other point One other point about about all these injuries. I was talking to a guy that actually goes to Notre Dame, and he was talking about that there's been whispers about, like, all these injuries the past 2 years, about the strength and conditioning, um, you know that side of it. Like, how much do you think? I mean, our boys are conditioned, like they can run and stuff like that. But how much do you think strength comes? Because all these injuries seem like injuries that can be prevented. It would seem. I don't know.
Is that a question to me? Yeah,
Yeah.
Brian Kelly
what
talked
do you
in
think
his
about
press
that?
conference today about that a little bit, and he said, of course, every time there's an injury, he does his best to look into it and see what they can do to make that not happen ever again. This is the year after year we have been depleted by injuries, and it does happen to every team, but it seems like our key players, are going down, and so no coach wants that to happen. So he is working on it, but I don't know that a lot of them can be prevented. I mean, it seems like certainly Zaire, the hit he took. It's crazy that all of these injuries, all four. Look at Jaron Jones. 5. That cornerback. What's his name? Sean Crawford. Is that? I could be way off. He didn't start, but anyway, he got. And then Jaron Jones, Zaire, Durham Smith, and Turing Folson. Every one of these has been a season-ending. Like, there's no remote possibility that it could have been. They could have niched out some time at the end of the season for them to get back by. I mean, these are some freak injuries that have really done damage. So, I don't know. All that is to say, I don't know really what you can do to prevent that. And that's part of what happens when you have a spread system and your quarterback and a lot of your offensive players get put in vulnerable positions. You live by it, you die by it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Like you said, he was talking about Kaiser, and he said, to your same thing, he said not only, I'll echo everything you said, but he also added, when we recruit these quarterbacks, we recruit them because they fit into the system we run. So one being hurt and another coming in, sure, you lose some strengths, you lose some weaknesses, you lose some experience, but their same general skill set, by virtue of being on the team as a quarterback, your skill set fits into what we're trying to do. So long term, I'm not worried about Kaiser. I'm worried that in a season where we could have been playoff bound, his experience is gonna. Look, we could beat Georgia Tech, and in 2 weeks we got Clemson. So it's gonna be a rough stretch. So.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna ask for your pick. I'm gonna give you one
Oh.
more number on our side this time. And then I'm going to ask for your pick for this game. And that number is 7.
Okay.
The last 7 quarterbacks starting their first game for Brian Kelly have all won that game.
Interesting. And who are these?
I
Do you
don't,
have a
but I
list of those
know
quarterbacks? I mean, they're Everett and
this goes
and
all
Malik,
the way
two of
back to his days at Central Michigan. So
yeah, I was gonna say even before
even
Cincy.
before. Right, it would include Everett. It would include Malik. It would include
Malik.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. Did Andrew Hendricks start a game? Some of his guys. I don't have the list, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta go with the Irish. I'm like Lou Holtz. We can go against Alabama, and I'm gonna pick the Irish. I think we'll win. I think it'll be close, or as close, if not closer than Virginia.
Than 1 point.
I think it'll. We won by more than a point, barely. I think it'll be a field goal, or I think it'll be. You know what I think? I think it'll be turnovers. I think if we turn the ball over more than twice, then we lose. Flat. Because if if it's a back and forth game. It's our possession, their possession, our possession. So if they get one extra possession, they're gonna score. Like you said, they're fast. Like, it's not that I don't think we can stop them, but it's if we give them a possession, their odds to score are very high. So if we can keep it away from them, I like our odds.
Do you have
What do
a
you think?
score you want to put to that?
Oh my, a score. I think we'll score high. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 34, 39, or 36, 39. That's a field goal. I don't know. It's gonna be close. I think there'll be some extra point, or I think there'll be some 2-point conversions on both sides that'll be taken, mostly on ours to try to get a leg up, especially if we
I
can score
couldn't
early.
believe we started the Virginia game that way. He's gutsy.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
I know. I'm looking for an onside kick.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Well, you never know.
Except we would never get it. Yeah.
I'm gonna go a little lower. There are a few games later this season I might end up picking. I'm willing to accept that I might pick against us. I'm not saying I will, but I want to see the body of work. For this game, though, I am still pretty optimistic, but the lower the score, I think, the lower the score, the better odds of us winning. If this turns out into a barn burner where they're scoring every possession, there's no way our starting quarterback's going to keep up with that. Or our fresh. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think it showed we had a pretty hard time moving the ball against Virginia, and Georgia Tech's defense is probably twice as good. And we got lucky. I mean, you take away a couple bombs to Will Fuller, which, yes, are great plays, but if you're counting on him burning guys and just throwing up Hail Marys to him, that's not a sustainable offense that I would buy stock in. So I'm going to say, well,
unless
right.
you're Oregon.
That's true. I'm going to say 27-24. I think.
You think it'll be that low?
This is the Notre Dame fan in me. I think if it's higher than 35, if either team is higher than 35, I don't think we win. I don't think so. I think it took everything we had to score 34 against Virginia. So, we'll see.
Okay. Fair enough. See, but the other way is, though, I see Deshaun Keyser coming into this game, and I see him coming in ready. I see him spending a week with the number one offense the whole time. Whereas a week ago, right now, he was getting, maybe an eighth of the reps. Because you got to give the majority of, maybe not eighth, maybe like a fifth, but but preparation's one thing, execution's a whole other thing. We both know that. So.
All right.
Okay. Well, at least we both picked our side. As we get down into the season, we might start picking against, and it's going to be ugly. Who knows? Okay.
We'll hope not.
It should be a good game. Everybody tune in. It'll be on NBC because it's at home in South Bend, Indiana. It'll be Georgia Tech versus Notre Dame, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is not Jordan time. I don't know what Jordan time is.
I can't explain Jordan time. It'll take too long.
Okay, we don't know. Jordan doesn't go by normal time. Anyway. Okay, we'll see you guys next week, next Wednesday, and we'll go ahead and go over the Georgia Tech game that we will win this Saturday.
Sounds good.
See you
Go
guys next
Irish.
week. Go Irish.